Hi folks, and welcome to Aches and Games, a relaxed monthly check-in between two slightly older British friends, talking life, gaming, and basically whatever else comes to mind. We've been playing since Gladiators had decent presenters, a Wooga, and you'll currently find us on Xbox, PlayStation 5, plus a bit of PC and Nintendo Switch action. We hope you enjoy the show. If you do, please spread the word. Remember to like and subscribe to the podcast through your usual provider, and please consider giving us a 5-star review, because that one really does help. Also, we'd love you to follow the show and interact with us on X, Threads, most social platforms. We're at Aches and Games. That's ACHESANDGAMES. Or on our Facebook page, or by emailing achesandgamespod@gmail.com. We do love hearing from you. I'm Giles Nicholson. I'm at Giles Went West on most things, including socials, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. And joining me as always is my good friend James Hopes. Hi James. Do you want to know where people can find you?
Yeah, first off I wanted to say congratulations on making it through the intro with no errors. Well done. Great job. First time as well, perfect.
Yeah, okay. We'll show that behind the scenes footage on the socials, yeah.
Everyone loves a bit of BTS. Right, so yeah, you can find me on various social media bits. It's You Have to Laugh with the number 2 instead of the letter 2, which I say exactly the same thing every month. Boring. But I'm on Twitter, which is now X, and Facebook and Instagram. You Have to Laugh with the number 2. And also I'm on PlayStation Network as Jamesy Boy 1978. As I always say, it's because my name's James and I was born in 1978, which describes how old we are. Slightly older, in the middle, somewhere. And that's where you can find me. Apart from at my house, which again I say every week, just about to do some building work, so make the most of it before you won't recognise it anymore. So yeah, I'm there.
Very nice, thank you. And I love the fact that you say it every week, despite the fact we record every month. So you're just in presumably you're just in your studio, just talking to no one, which is not too dissimilar to some of our podcast listenership.
It's the same number of listeners every week. It's perfect.
I think we are onto a winner with this episode already. Excellent. While I desperately try to remember what the heck we had planned for today, do you want to? How was your March, James? We're a quarter of the way through the year already.
Yeah, or at the end of the financial year, if you want to go into financial year terms, which obviously we do at work. So yeah, end of the year or third way through year. It's been okay, March. It's been all right. We always talk about Reading Football Club. They've done better this month. We've won some games. We've got a takeover coming up in the next few weeks, hopefully. So fingers crossed that will go through nicely. My purple turtle shirt, my home shirt, third shirt, seems to be very successful. So whenever I wear that at home, we win games. So I've been getting into my purple turtle shirt. So instead of having lucky pants, I have a lucky shirt, which is much more convenient than wearing the same pants every time. Requires a lot less washing. So that was good. Obviously, we had Easter in March as well, and early Easter this time. So went round Sarah's mum's yesterday and had a nice time. Had lots of eggs to eat over the next few days. Nice cakes, nice food. It's been all right, March on the whole. What else do we do? Not a lot. All good.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm yet to tackle the eggs. That's a new record for me. I've made it all the way to date of recording, which, although this is going live about 5 days into April, I guess, it's actually only the Monday when we're recording, so that's not quite the achievement I'm trying to make out. By the time this goes up, I've probably finished everything, but, I'll pretend.
It's still extremely impressive, Charles.
Oh, thank you very much. That's the sort of quality content our listeners tune in for. I like it. Well, for me, March is my birthday month, so very exciting. So we had a lovely little mini break to the pig in the South Downs, which was absolutely awesome. Thank you to Hannah for organising that. Went to the Lion King, went to a couple of comedy shows, went to Bletchley Park. We've been out and about this month, so despite the fairly rubbish weather in the UK this month, we have got out the house a fair bit, which is great. So that might impact on what I've been playing and what we've been watching, etc. But it's been a fun month. Have you had any outings, James, that you can recall this month?
We've not done much. We went to Wren Kitchens a few times. My mum's picked her kitchen now, ready for the granny annex to be built. We've got a builder assigned. They're starting on the 15th or the 22nd, depending on how their other job goes. So it could be 2 weeks today. Our building work might commence and our room will be a complete dump for a few days, a few months rather. I said it might take 3 to 4 months, so it's going to be a bit chaotic for a while. Lots of dust, lots of mess, destroyed garden. So we've already moved my mum from her lounge into the study. So we now have no study, which is where I normally play my gaming. So we've now moved the gaming stuff under the stairs. So we've rammed a desk under the stairs. We put Sarah's work computers and laptop and monitors on there, and the the PC and the PlayStation 5 are all under the stairs now. So I can play in the dead of night under the stairs like some kind of murky villain. But there's no door on it, fortunately, so we're still in the hallway rather than actually in a cupboard under the stairs.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say a gaming Harry Potter.
Yeah, or Gordon the Gopher. Was he under the stairs?
Yeah, Target reference. I think there was a broom cupboard, wasn't it? But where else would you keep your brooms than under the stairs?
Yeah. So ideal place for them. Everyone does sweeping under the stairs. Perfect. So that's what we've been spending most of our time doing: planning kitchens, planning rooms, planning buildings, saving up money, and doing all that kind of jazz. So not had a lot of time for fun stuff. I'd love to remember some fun stuff we did in March, but it's eluding me. So I'm guessing we didn't do any at all.
That's quite all right. Well, good luck with the build. That's very exciting. We've been having our own building work, and we are nearly finished. So hopefully, maybe by the time of the next record, I might be in a different room. But if not, certainly the one after that. Yes, it is. It's kind of exhausting, is my experience, and we aren't even having that much done. But nearly, it's all worth it in the end, isn't it?
Exhausting and expensive in equal measures. And 4 months is a long time for building work. So when we had extension done years ago, that took like 6 weeks, and that was a nightmare because the whole place was just covered in dust and filth and misery. But now it's going to be 4 months, and my mum's going to be here, so it's going to be a great time. It's going to be had by all. Really buzzing for it. Yeah, I was going to say also at the moment we're on the Easter holidays have just begun, so we've now got 2 weeks with Joshua off school, so it's nice having him around the house as well. So we will be doing lots of day trips and days out and nights away over the next couple of weeks to make up for the lack of stuff we've done in March.
Awesome. Yes. Well, I didn't mean to trip shame you, James. We've been unnaturally sociable and active. But yes, I guess that's the difference between having kids and not having kids. We cram it in outside of the school holidays. And you guys then have to cram it in during the school holidays. So little tag team.
We've also been doing lots of TV. You recommended The Bear last month, didn't you?
Oh yeah. What did you think?
And we had some japes about whether it involved bears, and I think you made some kind of segue about bears somehow, which worked really well. It's a really good program. So yeah, annoyingly, our TV downstairs doesn't have Disney Plus on it, so we have to stream it from my phone, which is a bit of a ball ache. But it's working fine. So we saw the whole of season 1 of The Bear and half of season 2 so far. And the most fascinating thing is that at the start of each episode, it warns you that there's tobacco depictions. Do you remember seeing that? Why?
I don't, but that's the world in which we live, isn't it?
At the start of every episode, it says warning contains tobacco depictions, but it doesn't warn you about all the effing and blinding that's constant through every episode, and the drug use and the drug selling and everything else. It's all about tobacco depictions on Disney Plus. So there we go. But a great show. Like I said, lots of swearing, lots of drama. It's very Chicago-y. So some of Sarah's always loved Chicago Med and Chicago Fire and Chicago Blue. Ooh. So some of the characters in there, or some of the actors from there, appear in The Bear. So yeah, they're really good, really enjoyed it. So glad we had a recommendation. That's the benefit of the podcast, isn't it? Learning new things and trying out fun japes.
Exactly. Oh no, I'm really pleased you enjoyed it. Yeah, we finished season 2, but we've we watched the first season last year, so that's definitely not sort of a rapid pace. But they're quite nice, and most of the episodes are quite short, aren't they? And then occasionally, just to mess you up, they throw in a really long one, just when you think that you can squeeze it in before bedtime or school run or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, but they seem to go pretty quickly, and yeah, like you said, there's so much drama involved that it does go pretty quick, regardless of the length. So interesting program. Yeah. Definitely will continue to watch the rest of it. Some of our normal stuff's come back on this month as well. So Married at First Sight, Australia's back on. So we always love watching maths. It's always ridiculous. Gets less and less realistic each series, but more and more fun. So that's good crack. And some of our favourite American crime dramas are back on. So all the FBI's, FBI International, FBI Most Wanted, Normal FBI, all back on. And SWAT, which we love watching SWAT as well. Not least for the funky theme tune at the start from the 60s or 70s, whenever SWAT originally came out. So all our programmes are back, which has given us an opportunity to do something in the evening that doesn't involve going out, apparently. But now the clocks have gone forward because spring has sprung.
Forward, yeah. Spring forward, yeah.
Yeah, full back. Obviously now the evenings are a bit lighter, which confused me with the podcast tonight because I thought the time was completely different than the time actually was, especially being that we hadn't adjusted the oven clocks. So it got to 7:20, and I thought it was 6:20, and I thought I've got loads of time till we start recording, and I didn't. Here we are.
Amazing. Well, that hopefully, listeners, goes part way to explaining why we had such a chaotic start. Also, as James explained, for the first time so far, so episode 5, I completely flubbed our intro. So, strap in for the rest of the episode because this one could be a little bit bumpy. Really glad you enjoyed the recommendation there, James. I've got another one for you. We've been watching Colin from Accounts.
Oh, okay.
Which is on iPlayer in the UK, which is an Australian sort of sitcom rom-com. Both, again, sort of half-hour shows. I think it's 8 episodes. We just finished it today as a recording. It's really, really good. Did you watch Catastrophe?
No.
Oh, well, that's also very good. I think that's on Netflix.
Okay.
But very similar kind of idea. So it's a kind of odd couple kind of thrown together by something that happens in the first episode. And there's a bit of a kind of rom-com element and also very funny, definitely not suitable for work or kids, very sort of raucous, but also really touching. And that's just had one series. It is coming back for a second series according to the little thingy on streaming, but recommend that one too.
Are we doing our recommendation in alphabetical order? So last month it was a bear and this month it's Colin from Accounts and Catastrophe.
That's an incredible coincidence that I hadn't noticed, but yeah, let's keep it up. I'll see if I can keep it going for the rest of the year.
Hopefully next month it won't be Debbie Does Dallas or something. So come up with something more interesting for next month.
I and all of our listeners are far too outstanding to understand what the heck you're talking about. For us that was pretty much it. As I said, we've been quite busy this month, but we have also watched a few films because it was Oscar season, so I tend to try and watch some of the Oscar contenders. We got through a few of them, but not many actually. Killers of the Flower Moon I thought was pretty hard work, if I'm honest. Martin Scorsese on Apple TV, and we also saw something which wasn't nominated, so I'm not sure why I'm mentioning it, but How to Have Sex, which was very terrifying if you are a parent or an uncle or any way involved in any teenager's life. Maybe don't watch that because it's kind of about people going off on their first holiday. But it was very good, but also quite traumatic. So we've got a couple of other films, a couple of the nominees which are lined up to watch, but we didn't get to them this month. So that'll be April. We'll swap around. We won't go out of the house and we'll watch lots of films.
Good little points. Josh has just been covering human biology at school, interestingly, so he has literally been learning how to have sex, kind of, which he was telling me all about in the car yesterday. We're talking about elephants' penises and all kinds of things. So it's fascinating insight into the mind of a 9-year-old. And also, we're annoyed at the Oscars this year, because in the olden days, when we were young, we used to watch it on E! And it used to all be about the build-up and the dresses and the Joan Rivers and Juliana Rancic and all of that stuff. It used to be quite amusing, and this year they had it on ITV, I think it was, for the first time, live, and it was Jonathan Ross and a couple of people who didn't say anything funny or interesting. It was very dull and very dry. So that ruined our Oscars. No talk about dresses, no ridiculousness. Obviously no Joan Rivers because she is deceased. But it was bang average. But some of the films look good, so yeah, you're the film guy, aren't you? So I'm sure he'll give you some more recommendations next month, beginning with D. Or E for the month after.
I will take that as my homework assignment. Excellent.
Is that the last little things? It's April Fool's Day today when we're filming. So Joshua actually did a very good April Fool trick this morning, which I was very impressed. It shows he's got some development. He sellotaped over the front door lock. So when I went to leave for work today, I went to put my key in, and I couldn't get my key in. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed that one. Yeah. That's
less troublesome than cling filming over the toilet.
Yes, and less messy as well.
Yeah.
He also made me swap over my mum's cereal from one box to another last night. So when my mum went to have a cereal this morning, she ended up with cinnamon flavoured cereal, which she didn't appreciate. So she had toast instead. Ruined her whole day.
I was going to ask if she found it funny, but I think you probably answered that one already.
Livid. It's not spoken since.
Oh dear. Well, I'm sure the building work will make it all smooth over any domestic traumas.
Yeah. I also wanted to briefly mention Maddie, our good friend Maddie, that we've known for 30 odd years because we're really old. She listens to the first half of the podcast, as I mentioned briefly earlier, but not the rest of it because she has no great interest in gaming. So hello to Maddie. Hope you're enjoying the first part of it. We'll flag when the gaming part comes on so you can turn off and go do something interesting. But welcome, and I'm glad you're joining us. So that's my shout out to Maddie. Woo!
Right. Very nice. Yeah. Hi, Maddie. We have a few listeners a bit like that, and everyone is welcome. So maybe we've got listeners here saying, shut up with all this and get on with the games, but we don't hear so much from them. But Hannah tends to listen on her, as she's sort of drifting off to sleep. So it's kind of perfect timing because she gets all this bit. And then by the time we start talking about games, which she has little interest in, then she's hopefully nicely rested, or very grumpy for two reasons, because she can't sleep and she's having to listen to us rabbiting on. So hopefully, Hannah, you're starting to drift off about now, which is great. And sleep well. Right. Okay. We're a bit indulgent today, but, it's our podcast, so why not?
Yeah. Spring, yay.
What about other podcast news? Because I think today we are a bit more prepared for being on camera. I was going to mention if you look at any of our socials, you'll see we have done little video clips and things. That was kind of a bit of an accident, wasn't it? Last month, we thought we'd record, or we thought we'd do video so we could see each other, and then we got a bit addicted with doing little video clips and stuff. But it's fun. But lots of work, unfortunately.
Yeah, but people actually watch the video clips, unlike people don't listen to the podcast, but they watch the video, because people obviously have very short attention spans and can take us in 1 minute doses, but not 1 hour doses. So yeah, it was nice to see some people, or nice for some people to see us. It was good fun, actually. It turned out quite well. So this month I've got a little tripod, or a gimbal, so I can now look forward rather than looking down, which improves the look of my jaw, hopefully. Doesn't look quite so jowly this month, which is a big bonus. So yeah, we're well set up to go now, aren't we? We're ready to be proper internet sensations and famous YouTubers and stuff.
Oh, it's all the pieces are in place, and you look fabulous, James. So
thank you.
I won't make it this month's poll. Does James look any less jowly than the last month? I think that would be a bit harsh. You do, however, look like you're in serious danger of being eaten by a giant dinosaur of some description.
But fortunately, I've got Ellie to protect me. She's fending off the dinosaur with her little teeny tiny knife.
Okay.
And her,
Ellie from The Last of Us. Nice.
Yeah, and her surgically repaired foot. She fell off a shelf about a year ago and broke her foot in half. So I actually went out and brought some super glue yesterday, ready for the podcast, so I could glue her foot back on and get her fighting with the dinosaur. So good luck to her.
Well, yeah, spoiler free, but I mean, she's pretty tough. So she's I think she suffered enough.
Yeah, so she's got half a foot, but she's still got 10 fingers, interestingly. Or 10 hand digits, not fingers.
10 hand digits.
In case you get pretentious and pedantic about thumbs and fingers and blah, 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 blah.
We have mentioned my fondness for pedantry, so yes, you're right. I would have been right there. Never let anything go, unfortunately, which means that this could be a very long podcast. So let's move on. You've also been fantastic and active on Facebook, haven't you, James? You've had some lovely comments, lovely involvement from some of our listeners / viewers / followers.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to say I've been fantastic and active. I thought it was going to be the end of it, and I was going to be quite happy with that. But then you can tell it into Facebook.
It was a New Year's resolution, you remember?
What, to be fantastic and active? Thank you.
At least active, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. So yeah, the Facebook page is quite fun. I enjoy Facebook generally. Even though it's obviously changed a lot over the years and probably isn't called Facebook anymore, is it? It's called Meta Facebook, Meta. Who knows? But I enjoy it, and it's a good chance to post reels and get engagement and talk to people and stuff. So my big beg, I'm not averse to begging, is to if you want to chat at all about the podcast or anything else about gaming, come and join our Facebook page. You can be our 20-second follower on Facebook, and then get involved in the conversations and enjoy the reels and the memes and all the other crap that I make up when my mind is active and I'm meant to be going to bed. So yeah, there's literally 5 good memes ready to pop after this podcast. So stay tuned over the next week. It's going to blow your mind. Blow your damn mind.
Wow. Well, I was going to say maybe we'll have to do a prize for like the 30th follower or something. But if you've got all this good stuff lined up, I mean, we don't need to give anything away, do we? It's just
it sells itself.
Speaks for itself. Exactly.
We should give a prize to the 1,000th follower, which is surely only a few days away.
That's true. When it all kicks off.
£1,000 to our 1,000th follower.
Whoa. We need to...
If it gets
We
out
need
within
to
the next
put a
week.
disclaimer. Yeah, we need to put a little disclaimer running along. I have to
Yeah.
edit that in now, James. Like, the £1,000 was just for illustration purposes only, and does
Yes.
not actually constitute a prize in the
Yes. Because I don't have
whatever of the
£1,000.
UK.
Yeah. There we go.
But maybe we would if we had
but yeah,
lots of followers.
Yeah. Come and join the Facebook page anyway. It's where we post our little video clips and talk about other bits and pieces. I've also set up a website, which at some stage of the next year, I'll put some things on. So at some stage, I'll tell you the website address and we can put videos and game reviews and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's just a little acorn from which a great oak tree will grow. Thank you.
I love your enthusiasm. Very nice.
I was nearly a brand manager. That was nearly my graduate job, wasn't it? Brand manager of Procter & Gamble.
Was it?
But I didn't go to the final interview because it was over my birthday. With like a week's notice. So it's all 29 of you come away to this thing in Newcastle over Christmas and we'll pick who gets selected at the end of it. And 28 people went and I didn't because I had a birthday party planned. And the other 28 all got jobs and I didn't.
Nice.
Rude. So there we go. That's my marketing career ruined.
Was it a good birthday?
Probably. Yeah, well, years ago, when it's probably like my 21st. It's probably quite an important one. Yeah. I could have been in charge of all of Yule or all of Ole or something else. So, yeah. No sponsorship money paid for that, by the way.
No.
On terms of sponsorship, just a reminder that I've now had my PC fixed by the lovely people at the shop down the road that remain unnamed. So now my PC is working perfectly, which is why a lot of the games I've played this month have been PC games rather than console games, just to give some kind of segue into the gaming part of the show, just to flag it up for Maddie and anyone else that wants to switch off at this stage.
Excellent. Well, in which case we say goodbye to our non-gaming listeners. But hopefully we hang on to a couple, one or two stalwarts sticking with us despite the chaos. So James, what have you been playing this month?
Thanks for asking, Charles. It was really nice of you to bring it up. I finished a game called Ratchet Clank, which you've mentioned a few times in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a ridiculous amount of time to finish it. You said you finished it in like a day and it took 12 hours and I managed to drag out for like 22 hours to get mine finished. I don't know what I did. But interestingly, I got to about 60% and only then did I realise you could actually change your weapon.
That's a handicap.
Yeah, I kept buying weapons and thought that'd be really fun to use and then never working out how to actually select one. So I had to go on a YouTube video which told me how to select a weapon. I was like, oh. And then it brings up a whole wheel of weapons, which are much better than the little blaster gun and a hammer thing. So, so I kind of accidentally hindered myself for the first 11 hours of gameplay and then it got a lot quicker once I started using some weapons. But an awesome game, which obviously you finished very quickly and I didn't. But the end was nice. It was mildly emotional. Nice tale about friendship and redemption and all that kind of stuff and supporting your friends and blah, blah, blah. And lots of good villains. The end boss battle, I thought, was quite difficult. That took me a long time to finish the last boss battle. I was almost getting frustrated. If I had an anger and a temper, I'd probably have used it at that stage. But as I don't, I managed to plough through, came back to it the next day and managed to knock it on the head. So I was delighted to finish it, and it was a really good game overall. Your views are very similar, Giles, aren't they?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I think it was about 12 hours of gameplay, but yeah, I think I took about a month to get through it. So it just happened to fall between two recordings, so it probably felt very quick. But yeah, no, I really liked it. I think you said it's one of the best looking games I think I've ever played. It was just absolutely stunning. Felt really like a sort of high quality animated film to me. Really exciting. Loved the characters. Sort of good little back and forth between them and some of the sort of villains or the various supporting characters, I guess, made me chuckle quite a bit. Very much reminded me of a game on Xbox last generation called Sunset Overdrive, which should be no coincidence because it was made by the same people, Insomniac. So that was great because that's a really fond memories of that game. The only thing I would say, so I'd say a couple of things. So we regularly have this discussion about the controllers. I absolutely hated the DualShock by the end of that game. DualSense, sorry, the new controller for PS5. Just those triggers, so obnoxious. I had to turn those off because they annoyed me so much. So that was one thing. And what did you think about they're called the glitch bits, the virus where you're sort of going around as a little spidery thing. I felt that certainly the glitch sections I could have just completely done without. and the Clank bits where they're more puzzles. I did enjoy those in contrast to the glitch things, which I thought were just utter filler. But it also really sort of felt like it broke up the momentum for me. What did you think about those?
I quite enjoyed it, to be fair.
Okay.
It was quite a fast-paced game. There was no sort of... It wasn't like The Last of Us where you spend a lot of time just wandering around until you get to the next zombie fight scene and get really into it. This is like everything you went to was like killing lots of things, and it's pretty intense. So I thought they provided a nice little bit of downtime between them. So the little spider thing, yeah, a little bit pointless, but it broke up for a few minutes and meant it wasn't anything particularly difficult. And the other thing is I really enjoyed those puzzles with the balls, that you threw the balls in different places and floated and got heavy or ran fast or got electrified. So I actually really enjoyed those parts. I quite enjoyed those bits coming up because it made a nice break from the rest of the action. So I think it's nice to have a variation in pace in a game. And I think without those bits, it probably would have been non-stop too much for me. Which is why I generally only played it in like 1 hour bite-sized chunks. Hence why it took me 22 different days worth of giving it a go to work out with my one weapon.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure there's probably a platinum or a high level trophy, they're gold trophies for playing the whole game through using your pistol. even if by accident, that would be quite an amazing piece of foresight by the developers.
And interestingly, obviously people are into the game because I posted a reel of the end credits, or about a minute of the end credits of Ratchet & Clank, and 14,000 people watched it. Which is a lot of people, considering we only have 21 followers on Facebook. So 14,000 people creeping out the woodwork to look at the end credits of a game that you'd assume they've already seen the end credits of because they would have played it and finished it. So yeah, that's quite exciting. So
there you go.
Every reel in future and every post, I'm going to put hashtag Ratchet & Clank on it just to get people in to get on that wave of Ratchet & Clankisms.
Tune in next month to the episode of the Ratchet & Clank podcast with James and Giles.
Yeah, you can put a hashtag in the Spotify link this time.
Oh, I'm shameless. I'll be all over that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Knocking another one off the list. Anything else you've been playing this month?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. Like I said, I've been mainly focused on the PC this month because I was so many months without the working PC. And as I mentioned before, I got it fixed and then it broke again. And then I got it fixed again. They fitted a new hard drive, which is great. Very techy. And then I thought I'd be really cool and self-sufficient and install some additional RAM myself. And in doing so, I made it stop working again, which is annoying. So after lots of frantic Google research and YouTube videos, I realised I hadn't pushed it in far enough. So, yeah. So I learned that if you don't push a RAM in far enough until it clicks, then the computer doesn't work at all. Who'd have thunk it?
And that is how we got marked as explicit.
So I was really pleased that the PC started working after that one. And I've been downloading and playing lots of PC-type games. So I'm really into my simulation games on the PC, but I don't generally play them so much on consoles because it seems a bit dorky playing simulation games. So I prefer to play them on a PC under the stairs in the dark at night with headphones on. So I've been playing a lot of Supermarket Simulator, which you'd assume is an incredibly boring, tedious game. And it is, to be fair. But it's really interesting and quite addictive. Or if you're American, addicting for our American viewers. So the premise is you own a very small little shop, like a mini mart, again, if you're American. And you can order stuff and put on shelves, and you can put where the shelves are and make some tills, and you can serve yourself. You can serve customers, or you can employ employees. And then gradually, as you level up, you can make the store bigger. You can make a storage room. You can buy fridges and freezers and additional shelving units. You can recruit stock shelf fillers for you. And you can make the store bigger and bigger and get more licenses so you can get more stock of different varieties. And I can see you nodding off there, but it's really interesting when you get into it. And somehow, despite the fact I managed to take like 3 months to do 20 hours of Ratchet and Clank, I've managed to put like 1,000 hours into this game already. That's just by having it on the PC in the background where you can do other stuff. So it's just, you do a few little bits and the day goes by and you restock the shelves and have a good time. So that's been unnecessarily fun. So if you are tedious and want to relive your Sainsbury's work experience when you left school many years ago, then this is a game for you. Supermarket Simulator on Steam. It's got like 95% ratings on Steam, so I'm not the only geek that loves running a supermarket.
Yeah, the whole simulator thing. Like I think one of the free Amazon Prime games on PC this month is Bus Simulator 21 or something. And obviously you got the power wash stuff. You got
Yeah.
lots of other professions being simulated, and the simulator stuff seems to be like incredibly popular. So you're definitely not alone, but it might not get us those 14,000 viewers that Ratchet and
Yeah.
Clank will.
It feels like you're alone when you're playing it under the stairs on your own in the dark with headphones on, running a supermarket. But yeah, it is genuinely entertaining. And it feels like you need to keep playing it because you need to keep making your supermarket bigger and getting those extra bits in. So I'm probably halfway through it and I've literally done like 80 hours of the game. So it's been good fun. Also, other simulation games I've taken on. I mentioned it to you a week or so ago, but there's an awesome game called Disco Simulator, which you become a nightclub owner and you put in all the nightclub type equipment. You make a dance floor and some tables and sofas and hire a DJ and put toilets in and clean up vomit and wake up drunk and drugged people from the dance floor. It's really, really entertaining, as you can tell by the excitement in my voice. So it's bringing back, whereas Supermarket Simulator brought back memories of my career at Sainsbury's, or Sabre Centre, should I say, the Sainsbury's hypermarket back in the 90s. This one brings back memories of going to Utopia and RG1s and all the other nightclubs in Reading in our younger years. So it's good fun. Again, it's scenario based, so you take on one nightclub, you build it to a certain level whereby you reach your achievement and then you go on to a bigger nightclub and do other different things. And there's quite a funky backtrack as well. Backtrack? It's not called that, is it? Backing track. Yeah. You can pick like six different genres of music you can listen to in the background, all the way from trance and dance to heavy rock and metal. So yeah, great game, good fun. Been playing that again in, keep wanting to say in the basement, but under the stairs. Feels like I'm in a basement, but it's just under the stairs in a hallway. So I'd recommend that one to anyone, again, who is quite sad but enjoys dance music and wanting to relive memories of younger years before our bones started to ache painfully every time I wake up. What have you been doing, G?
He doesn't want to relive memories of younger years. That I can see the appeal of that one, certainly. Well, thank you for asking. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy, so from you under the stairs to me in the Wizarding World, I haven't finished it. So I think last month I don't think I predicted I would have finished it by this recording, but I thought I would be close. Not really that close. Stupid, outside world getting in the way. But also, I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I love it. So I think that's part of the reason for some delay. But yeah, I'm sort of progressing my way through it. I'm about 2/3 of the way, I think, in terms of the main quests by the looks of it. Really good world building. Again, sort of that fantasy of kind of being at Hogwarts and, being getting to learn all the magic and sort of use the magic, see the locations from the films or that you imagined in the books. Some really good quests as well, some particularly good sort of mainline quests, but something not quite clicking for me to take it onto that sort of top tier game in terms of the RPG elements. It's I feel like some of the sort of side quests, some of the side activities feel very just quite run of the mill. So enjoying that one enough certainly to keep going, not too far. I say I'm about 2/3 of the way through, but I think from now on I'll probably just sort of mainline it through the main quests. So I think I'm probably more than that in terms of game time. So polish that one off this month. And really the only other, finished Unravel 2 with Hannah. So that was great. It's quite small, isn't it, in general?
Yeah.
And we only had a couple of levels left to go last time we were recording. So it was really fun. But spoke about that enough, I think, previously. And then Return to Grace was the other one I mentioned last month and wanted to just highlight for particularly anyone who has Game Pass, because it's included in the subscription. And anyone who liked things like Edith Finch, is that What Became of Edith Finch, I think, Gone Home, Dear Esther, all of those, Firewatch, all of those kind of walking simulators, story-driven, first-person, wandering about, solving sort of fairly minor puzzles type games. Really recommend it. A couple of hours long. As a mystery, you are sort of landing on an alien planet or a distant planet, trying to find out what happened to Grace, which is a sort of AI disappeared or kind of gone offline, and so you solve some fairly basic puzzles, sort of door codes, opening door codes with the right pattern, and a Simon Says type sort of interaction with some other kind of puzzles, and then occasionally a bit of what's loosely described as kind of action. You might use a jetpack or something like that, but nothing particularly active. But really interesting story. You come across these other AIs, which are aspects of Grace's character. So one of them's Logic, for example, who's very logical and not very empathetic. There is Empathy, who dabbles in some philosophy, which is quite interesting, hearing them and kind of interacting with that sort of character. And yeah, really well acted and really sort of engaging and a couple of hours long. And I really enjoyed it. So would recommend that one for a nice little palate cleanser on Game Pass, or it's probably available to buy as well. But yeah, it's quite short, so needs to be a cheap one, I think, to enjoy that.
Just nipping back to Hogwarts Legacy. And to bring it back to the real world, we looked at my old school, or our old school, because that's where we met, wasn't it, at school, many years ago.
Basically Hogwarts.
Yeah, and Joshua, my son, was there for an open day, and he said it looks a lot like Hogwarts, which it does, which is true. So that's a nice little tie in there. So I think he's quite keen on going there now because it looks like Hogwarts. And it has a nice library. That's the two things he liked about it. Looks like Hogwarts. Has a good library. Completely different now, Giles. Loads of new buildings. Very different than when we went there. It's massive. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the library. So I
don't remember the library. I don't think I ever went to it. Maybe it didn't exist.
Maybe it's new.
And a few other games that I played this month, which I mentioned on the PC. We talked last month about my dream would be if they had one of the Alice games remade, because last month we talked about remakes and remasters. If you didn't check it out, go and check it out after this one. Watch this one first. And then I noticed it was on Steam. So Alice Madness Returns was on Steam. It disappeared for a few years, but now it's back. And it works fine now as well. At some stage it didn't work that well on Steam, supposedly. So I've been playing Alice Madness Returns, and that's a really fun game. I enjoy the sort of the craziness of it and the curious personality that she's got and the various things that are going on in her head. I like the interpretation. The graphics are really good still. You can set what resolution you want, and in 4K it still looks really good, despite being a really old game. The combat's fine, takes a bit of brain power, and it's just really odd, and I like really odd games, so I've been really enjoying Alice Madness Returns so far. I've only got like a couple of hours into it, so a long way to go, but that's been really good. And a couple of other little bits on the PC. I said I wanted to get my PC fixed so I could play City Skylines 2. So I gave that a go just for the sake of giving it a go, to say that my PC was fixed and it actually plays City Skyline 2. And it's not like a potato, it actually works perfectly well. So I'm delighted with that one. And then a couple of other little bits. Dave the Diver I mentioned last month. I wanted to give it a go when I fixed my PC. So I gave that a go. So you basically dive in the ocean, shoot lots of funky fish, and then bring them back to your sushi restaurant to serve up as food in the evening. So it's kind of a food game and a diving game. So that's quite interesting. I haven't played it a lot so far because I've been quite busy, but that looks really good. And Bramble. Never played Bramble before, but that's another quite short game which is on the PC. And what is it? Scandinavian type story type thing, isn't it? So it's a brother and sister combo. The sister who's slightly older nips out the window at night and goes off on an adventure, and you're the little boy who goes off after her and goes through the woods and then meets lots of interesting characters and has to do lots of fun stuff. So again, I generally hate the controls for action type games on the PC because it's always WAS and D, which I hate. Madness Returns Alice is annoying control wise because you have to keep pressing the shift button to do things, and unless you've got a really large hand, which I don't, then it's really hard to get all the buttons in the right order. So that annoys me. So I prefer consoles for playing those types of games, but this has been good so far. You walk around and you do fun stuff, and it looks lovely, and the storyline's great as well. So I like a good story for my PC games. So those are the ones I've been doing this month. Quite a few, actually. I'm impressed myself.
Quite a lot. Bramble, I would add my recommendation. I really enjoyed that. I think it's on Game Pass if you're an Xbox owner. So I played it on Xbox. And yeah, it's definitely sort of dark Scandinavian, like one of the, when you think about all the sort of Brothers Grimm stories, they're all kind of a little bit dark and twisted, and I've probably got my geography completely wrong there, but it's got that kind of menacing kind of brooding atmosphere, and kind of some pretty gross kind of characters as well that you interact with. There's given the protagonist is a small kid. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Dave the Diver, I think, was one of quite a few people's contention for sort of Game of the Year or Indie Game of the Year last year. So really interested to hear what you think about that. And have you seen Godzilla yet?
No.
A weird like crossover, or is that seen?
We mentioned that was a DLC, didn't we, on the PlayStation 5 version, was it, when it came out? So I'm playing it on PC. I don't know if that DLC exists on the PC, but I've not got far into the main game yet, so I'm still just finding my feet, as it were, or finding my water wings, or whatever the underwater version of it is. Yeah, finding the flippers, thank you. That's exactly what I was aiming for.
Excellent. Well, we're a team. Yeah, I think the Godzilla DLC maybe said April on the... it's coming back to me now on the show again, a previous show that you can go back and listen to at any time. But yeah, we were talking about that when it was revealed, I think maybe in the PlayStation State of Play back in January.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like a busy month. Well, like I said, I haven't been playing much on console, but I did want to shout out two more things just quickly on a theme. Non-gamers, Maddie, long gone probably, but we played a brilliant board game based on Sherlock Holmes with my family when we visited them before Easter. What are you doing, Jess? That's really disturbing. Are you stroking me through the camera?
I was trying. There we go. Does that feel nice?
Oh, that's much fun.
Yeah, good.
That does feel nice. Yeah. It's quite good. It's quite warm in here already. So, but yeah, 221B Baker Street. If you're looking for a board game, have you played it?
Used to play it when I was a child.
Ah, amazing.
It used to be in a big rectangular green box with Sherlock Holmes smoking a pipe on the front. Great game. Loved it.
That's pretty much what it is, but I would say the box sounds like it might be smaller, but it might just be, proportion. When you're younger, everything seems massive, doesn't it?
Your hands are smaller, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. Sort of like Cluedo, really, going around the board, sort of discovering clues and stuff. But they're more specific to the location rather than kind of held by each player. Yeah, really, really fun. If anyone's listening and wants a sort of good family board game, I'd highly recommend it. My niece and nephew are sort of 14, and they are they really got into it as well, and I think it's 10 plus. So one to play with the family, no doubt. And it's one of those things where it's got a lot of different scenarios included. So I quite like a escape room game, but if you buy those sort of offline ones or paper ones, they're kind of one and done. And then once you've done it, you can't really go back. Whereas this has got, I think, like 70 different scenarios or something. Yeah. So probably quite good value as well. And coincidentally, Anna and I mentioned finished Unravel, but we are playing through an escape book, a Sherlock Holmes escape book called The Adventure of the London Waterworks. And that's really fun. Just sort of solving puzzles. I quite like puzzle video games, and this is another fun puzzle book where you have to solve certain puzzles, and it's a bit like Choose Your Own Adventure. You'll go to the specific page based on what you gave as the answer to the question, and it might lead you down a dead alley or a dead end.
Yeah, dead end.
Yeah, one or another, some kind of alley, or it might hopefully take you through the story and see it out. I don't think that one's going to have much replay value or take particularly long, actually, because we've already played through a lot of pages in kind of one sitting. But again, highly recommend that. So completely randomly, two very Sherlock Holmes related things this month.
Does each Sherlock Holmes adventure still start with the game as afoot?
It does.
Hey, phew.
Yes.
My main memory of that game.
Yeah, with that and with the book, when you sort of finish the intro, the game is indeed afoot. Excellent. We've been busy, and we've run long, which is a sign of a good conversation, hopefully, and hopefully a good listen. But I'm sure our viewers will tell us either way. They are lovely, so they're usually very nice.
I thought you were going to attempt a segue from afoot into the next part of the programme, but you failed.
Well, after you were read about my bears, I'm feeling quite self-conscious, Dave. That was one of my better efforts. So no, I don't think I could. I don't think I could do any kind of bodily link to the next section, unfortunately.
You could have said we were going to go a foot first into the next section, couldn't you?
I see. This is we should swap roles, I think.
Yeah. Crack on.
Right, news bites. We've had a couple of interesting pieces of news this month. So just quickly before we go into our main topic, because we are running short of time, wanted to highlight a couple of games we talked about hitting subscription services. So Control, James was talking in depth about his love of Alan Wake last month. Control has been added to added to, I think, both subscriptions now, PlayStation and Game Pass. It's on both. The Quarry, which is from the team who did Until Dawn. I know we were talking about Until Dawn. That's been added to Game Pass quite recently at the time of recording. So again, if you're into sort of interactive kind of horror story mysteries, then that's one to check out. And Resident Evil 3 added to PlayStation Plus catalogue. And James was dabbling, I think, in Resident Evil 2. You didn't mention it this month, though, James. Have you dropped off?
No, like I said, I was prioritising the PC games this month, but I'll get back into it now that April's come. And also, obviously, from Remedy, you've also got they're redoing Max Payne 1 and 2, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they're looking forward to that. Also, just quickly, Immortals of Avium has been added to PS Plus Essential, which will have, by the time this podcast lands, it will have been added to PS Plus Essential. It came on, or comes on the 2nd of April as of time of recording. And that is a very recent game. It got pretty good reviews and is a kind of magic-based first-person sort of shooter. But it's supposed to be really good. It obviously didn't do particularly well. It was a new IP from EA, and there's been lots of stuff about how hard it is to launch new IP in the current market. It was featured. It had some fairly dodgy performance issues at the start, I think, but those, I believe, have been fixed. It's something that I really want to check out. So that's PS Plus Essential. So you can download it anytime this month, and as long as you keep subscribing, you'll have it in your library. Lastly, before we get cracking, PS5 Pro is rumoured to come out, and also a handheld Xbox has been talked about a lot, partly because the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, did some interviews saying what he would want from it. James, do either of these two upgrades or pieces of equipment float your boat? I know we're both tempted to buy the next piece of equipment.
Yeah, interestingly, I love the PS4 Pro. That was my favourite console of all time. Not least because I bought the Last of Us version of it, which had the lovely decal on the side. It's very pretty. Even Sarah liked that one because it looked nice in the living room. So I enjoyed the PS4 Pro because it was obviously a lot more technologically advanced than the PS4 at the time, and looked really good. So yeah, I'd always go for the Pro model. But there's also some talk that it might not be necessary at the moment because they've not really exploited the full potential of the PlayStation 5, let alone going and making it even more technologically advanced when people haven't even really made much of the original PlayStation 5. So we shall see. But yeah, no doubt I'll get it if it got cheap on eBay at some stage in the future. So give it a couple of years and I'll probably invest in that one. Handheld Xbox, not quite so exciting because I'm more of a PlayStation man. I've already had those bits and pieces before. And obviously we've got the Switch at home, as you know, for Christmas. So we've already got the handheld things kind of covered off. But a nice idea, I suppose, if you can port your games over from the Xbox and continue playing them when you go away in a hotel and other bits and pieces. Might be good for Joshua, but we shall see.
Yeah. No, the PS5 Pro, I've been quite surprised at the reaction. I was looking at the comment section on Push Square, quite a big PlayStation website, and nearly all the comments in the last article that I saw anyway were pretty negative, kind of, again, saying, what's the point? What's it going to bring? Yeah. Which is interesting because I completely agree. And I think that's, it feels like with COVID or just in general that, the current consoles really haven't quite hit their stride yet anyway. But there's a load of cool technology out there, some of the upscaling stuff that PS5 Pro is talking about doing, you can do on PC. Games do look amazing. So it's kind of tempting. But it feels like Sony is doing their best to kind of sell new pieces of hardware, PlayStation VR, PlayStation Portable, now the PS5 Pro, and Xbox have talked a lot about how the market, not just them, although they're not in a good place, I think, right now. Talking about the market and how it hasn't grown. So maybe these are two different ways that the two platform holders are trying to kind of reinvigorate things and get people interested. But as you said, time will tell. On the handheld Xbox side, I've got a ROG Ally, which is a handheld PC, because you can play the PC Game Pass games on that. I sort of feel like I've kind of got that to some extent. It would be nicer to be a more seamless experience, but again, that's kind of what inspired the Phil Spencer quotes, really, because he was playing on his portable PC and came up with some improvements, some little tweaks that he might want to make. So, interesting month. Nothing massive this month, but a couple of things that we thought worth talking about. And I'll go for it, James.
No, can I just mention a couple of games that are coming up. Harold Halibut I wanted to mention because I like halibut. And it reminds me of good memories of birthday party years ago where Maddie ordered a halibut booner but then didn't turn up because she wasn't well or was doing something else. And the waiter was trying to hand out this halibut booner for a good 10 minutes, trying to get anyone to eat a halibut booner, which no one wanted, bizarrely, because there's a booner with halibut in it. So Harold Halibut looks quite interesting. It's like a stop motion film / game. I think you're on a large spaceship that crashed into the sea, so you've been living underwater in a spaceship for many years, and your transportation system is a water slide. So if that doesn't sell it for you, I don't know what will. So that looks really interesting. It's sort of a kind of adventure game that looks quite gentle and interesting. I think it's quite a new game from a new company, so that looks fun. And also, for those with children or those with a memory, you've got Smurfs Village Party coming out in June, which is not only a party game with lots of different things you can do multiplayer on it for up to 100 people. There's also lots of quests as well, and you get to play as 31 different Smurfs. So if you love Smurfs in your childhood and want to be Papa Smurf or whatever the lady was called, what's she called? Smurfette. Or Gargamel or any of those characters, then Smurfs Village Party on the 6th of June is something to mark in your diaries. There we go. That's my input.
Do you not to put you on the spot, do you know what platforms Smurf Party's coming to?
All of them.
Oh, amazing.
Every damn one, yes.
Everyone's invited. There ain't no party like oh no, hang on, that's the others. That's not the Smurf. It's a different S Club. Oh well.
That sounds really good then, doesn't it? What more could you ask for than a Smurf party game?
It does sound good. Harold Halibut, I've only not mentioned on the podcast because I know I won't be able to say it quickly. But again, that's coming to Game Pass, and that is, it almost looks like a claymation, like Wallace and Gromit and animation. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. And I tried really hard to focus on what you were saying, but as soon as you said Halibut Booner, I could just hear the tune of Hallelujah from, is that...
Yeah, great song.
Leonard Cohen or Jeff Buckley or someone or other, and that's all I can hear now. Halibut Booner. It doesn't quite scan, but it's definitely now stuck in my head. So thank you very much for that.
16th of April for that one. So 16th of April for Harold Halibut.
Ironically, today's main topic was supposed to be about what is the ideal length of a game, and for possibly our longest ever podcast, I was certainly about to talk about how you really don't want to drag things out. Were they notes, James? That was amazing.
Oh, my notes, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, if it was this organised with your notes, then good luck for the next few minutes. But, I mean, inspired a little bit by Ratchet and Clank, you talked about, I think you spent 22 hours. For me, it was... And I'm not quick through games at all. It sounds like it was some kind of freak, or maybe it was changing the weapon I was using. You never know.
It did help.
Ratchet and Clank was a sort of 12-hour session. I'm certainly feeling, you mentioned Alan Wake, I think was probably quite a good length last month. Hogwarts Legacy, I'm feeling is a bit padded out. A couple of other examples in my mind. But what's your sense on, because this has come up as well, what's your sense on what is the right length for a game? Is there a straightforward answer, or is it a more complex topic that we can't possibly answer in a few minutes on a podcast? Let's not go with that one because we need to talk.
If I hadn't thrown my notes on the floor, I'd be able to tell you. There you go. Don't want to video me on my hands and knees trying to scrape around for my notes on Joshua's bedroom carpet floor. Anyway, so yeah, length is, like most things in life, relative to what you're playing. So The Last of Us, for example, is my one of my favourite games, obviously one of our favourite games. Great game, both of them. The second one, it felt like a good length until it then added an extra 10 hours at the end, and then it felt like it had gone a little bit too far, if you remember correctly. And it's such a depressing ending as well. It's like, 10 hours just to get to that level of depression. So, yeah, so for adventure games where there's lots of things to do, then I think about 15 hours for me is about my limit. And after that one, I start losing slight interest, depending on how many days and months and weeks you spread out over. At the end of it, you just want to, I'm sort of a completionist, so I like to just finish things at some stage. Get through the main story. I don't really care about the side quest, just like to get it done. So for that one, 15 to 20 hours would have done me nicely, but it ended up dragging out a little bit. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, like with the simulator games, they just go on for like hundreds of hours. There's never really a completion for that one. So you know you're never going to finish it, so you just invest a couple of hours in it every few days and leave it on in the background while you go and clean the fish tank, or you pop to the shop and come back and it's still going, and you can just sort of do little bits. So for those games, there's no too long, because you can just do it forever. You can run a supermarket for your entire career if you want to, 40 odd years without getting paid for it, sitting under the stairs, stocking shelves. So with those ones, no limit, but with sort of adventure games, I like it about 15 to 20 hours, and I like it going in a particular direction so you can know how far you've got and you know you can get to the finish. I think I mentioned in the first episode was good. Check it back. Microphone was awful, but it was good content. Recommended. I mentioned about stuff like those big open world ones. I don't like big open world games where you can just wander around forever, making little challenges. Can't see the point. Just want to get it done. Equally, I hate sandbox mode in games. When I complete the challenges and complete the scenarios, I don't want to go back and do the sandbox. I don't want to spend hours and hours with no sense of achievement at the end. So 15 to 20 hours from adventure, unlimited time for a simulator. All the other games, open world, can get in the bin.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree, and I don't know where the sweet spot is for me. It's, you mentioned Max Payne. Max Payne 3, I think, was kind of in the 6 to 8 hour range. It was just a big kind of an extended action film, and it was brilliant. And I know there's lots of talk about. I agree with you about Last of Us. I very much preferred the first one because of the length. It felt like tighter. I sort of feel like any Hideo Kojima game needs a very strong editor on it, unfortunately, as much as he is clearly a genius, and they are really impressive and sometimes really fun to play. But yeah, I think that it will vary, obviously, with the type of game. But for me, even those shorter experiences, I feel I'm maybe fortunate in that time is a more precious resource for me. Probably I'm not flush with money, but if I've bought something, it's quite often in the sale. We'll quite often play stuff through subscriptions, so I don't spend a lot on gaming anyway. But for me, it's time that's the limiting factor, really, or the biggest limiting factor. And so I feel it's actually kind of quite obnoxious if a game feels like it needs to fill my, 100 hours of gameplay. Red Dead Redemption was one of them that I wanted to call out, though, because the first Red Dead Redemption, I think, was about 40 hours-ish, which was quite a long game in itself, but was really, really good. This amazing kind of cowboy fantasy, and incredible. And that's, I think it got remastered. Flashback to last episode, but it's also on Switch and PlayStation, but it's got the backwards compatibility with some enhancements on Xbox, so my old copy still plays. I really want to go back and replay that game, which I don't tend to do, but it's just too long to do that. Whereas the second one, for me, was also a brilliant game once I got into it, but it took me a couple of goes because it's a very slow pace. There's a lot of secondary side action. Yeah, lots of sex, as you've shown there, James. And I think that was horse riding. That was horse riding?
That was horse
riding. Okay. Scrap that, mark that. It was a brilliant game, actually, Red Dead Redemption 2. Still really enjoyed it, actually. Only played it last year, about 10 years after the event. But that could have done with cutting out some of the content, for my experience. But I know some people feel like they get value for money when a game is bigger, has more to do. And so particularly in those sorts of, to meet those sorts of requirements, I quite like the idea of having a very clear and quite tight through line through something, so you can kind of mainline it, and then having very supplementary, very sort of optional side stuff or replay stuff or replayable modes. Sony have got quite good at this, kind of launching a sort of assault mode at the end, or a kind of roguelike mode. They've added on to God of War, they've added on to The Last of Us, I think, in the PS5 version of part 1. I get confused. So yeah, it sort of varies, but I agree. I get quite intimidated and put off by a game that's too long. I'm very happy playing something, as I mentioned, like Return to Grace, which is just 3 hours, but that's very easy to say when you don't pay for it because you're playing through a subscription. And I can completely see why people would want more sort of bang for their buck if it was paid for. So, as always, your mileage may vary. James?
Yeah, so recently I invested in a few. On Steam, you can look at the average game length that people report that they take to finish a game. So I downloaded like 6 games that should be completable within 3 to 4 hours. Just as a little, like you said before, palate cleanser. So you can just play it in an evening or a couple of evenings and get it done and feel good about yourself and move on to something that drags a bit more. So that's been fun. And those games are quite cute. I think Bramble's quite short, so that's one of the reasons I went for Bramble. And there's about 5 or 6 other ones that are quite similar in that you have a very succinct storyline that you plough your way through. And like you said, if you pay a subscription service, you might well just play those games and get them done. Or if you're only like £5 or £10 max, it's not so bad. But like we said, these days when games cost like 70 quid, you probably want something massive to make it feel like you're putting in the sensible investment. So like you said, decent storyline in the middle that you can complete and finish if you want to and put it down. Or for those who love playing it to the nth degree and getting every challenge done, then obviously you can get like 50, 60, 70 hours out of it. All good. Also, I was going to mention, someone I've been following on social media for years, he was a parenting blogger as well when I first started. She has got into game writing recently. So she sort of does freelance for different companies and writes parts of games. So she's put her story writing skills into game writing. So just going back to the topic about length, I think as long as the storyline is good and it keeps you engaged and captivated, like a really long film, it's fine if it's all action and it's got a really engaging storyline. But if you feel like it starts to be full of fillers and padding out and you're just wandering between places and not a lot happens, then obviously it drags a bit. So as long as you've got a punchy storyline, you know where you're going to, and there's a defined end you can get to, perfect for me.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I'm really jealous of your friend finding a niche in the industry, because that must be pretty rewarding. And but it's a tough industry, isn't it? I mean, we've seen what has happened recently with all the layoffs. So yeah. Do they listen?
Yeah. No idea. I told them to, but they probably won't do because no one else does. So why would she? But yeah, we had a chat on social, whatever you call it, Messenger the other day. She had to finish 2 sections, like a plot outline for one thing and an actual story for another part before Friday. So like every other type of job, it's really fun, but then you've got deadlines and you've got to meet certain things and you've got to get approved by your management team. So yeah, I guess it's really stressful as well. You've got to make sure that people actually like the ideas you pitch and the storylines you put through. But I guess it's really rewarding when a game finally comes out and people enjoy it and comment upon it. It must be really good. So yeah, not a bad little job, that one.
Oh, no, awesome. I think anyone in the industry knows that it's not all just playing games through or sort of all fun and laughter. I know I did some games testing back in the day, and people kind of thought that was sitting down and playing games all day, which would have been nice, but it's more sort of doing things that you wouldn't remotely want to do for fun, like sort of walking into the same wall 20 times to see if you can get your way through it. Lots of spreadsheets and lots of ticking stuff off, or it is having to absolutely charge through a game to try and get as far as you can through it without really listening or paying attention to what's going on, because you're trying to test something hours on in a game and you've only got a certain amount of time to test it. So yeah, not always fun, but certainly a creative and exciting industry to be involved in. So awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's everything for the show, isn't it? Let us know if you enjoyed it. Please remember to tell your friends. Consider giving us your 5-star review. Remember to like and subscribe to your usual podcast provider. Also, do follow the show. Mentioned at Aches and Games. Like Ellie did, be like Ellie. Don't be like the T-Rex. And on our Facebook page, or email us via achesandgameспod@gmail.com. James, before we go, and before I completely flub the outro as well, do you want to plug anything or remind people how to get hold of you?
Oh, like we said earlier, join the Facebook group because that's really interesting. It's going to be a very exciting place for like-minded people to come together and discuss exciting things. So come aboard early on, and you can be one of the founding members of the group. So come to the Facebook site. And obviously, when we get going with the website, we'll drop the link at some stage, probably in the next episode, because I won't be doing anything at all with it the next few weeks. So at that stage, hopefully it'll be interesting. We can create a whole massive community of exciting people and themes, and we'll gradually take over the world. But it's going to be very slow. We're both 45. We've still got probably 45 years ahead of us. So it might take the whole 45 years to get over 100 subscribers and over 100 people on Facebook. So we shall see. But we'll get there.
I love the optimism that we got 45 years left to go. I'm not saying I haven't, and that would be wonderful as long as it's good quality. But it seems a bit high. You never know. You never know. Stay healthy. I was going to say, if you do want to get involved, one thing we'd love to hear from you is if there are any games that you felt particularly got the game length right. So, a nice tight 6 hours, 15 hours, or just an amazing world that you spent hours and hours in, and you're clocking up hundreds of hours in one of the big RPGs, or like James said, one of the simulators. We'd love to hear from you. So that's a good thing to jump in on some of the social media platforms. That's perfect place for it. And I'm Giles Nicholson at Giles Went West on X, Threads, Xbox, PlayStation Network. James is Jamesy Boy 1978 from what I recall.
Yeah.
And do you have to laugh with a T?
Yeah, very good. Thanks.
I'm learning. 5 episodes in, I might not be able to host, but I can remember your channels.
Yeah,
exactly. I can't remember the word for them, so it fell at the final hurdle. Anyway, we're enough of this, everybody. We'll see you next month, landing the first Friday of the month for more Aches and Games. Cheers.
Adios.